Everyone. Good morning or afternoon or whatever, wherever you're at. Thank you for attending. In this presentation, I probably won't take the entire time, but I'm going to go over a couple different products, but collectively referenced as AVEVA Development Studio 2023. So initially, what are the challenges when developing applications, either as an SI or an end customer, working with an end customer to develop applications, are a lot of the upfront costs of going in and managing the hardware and the development, etc. If you have to purchase the hardware, you have to spec it out before you even actually do any development. So virtual machines are obviously a very good way to go from that standpoint and determining what's needed on your own infrastructure. But then you have to maintain and develop your own infrastructure, whether you have your own collection of virtual machines or using ones like Amazon or Microsoft. You have to maintain all that infrastructure as well. And so once that's been done, you have to support the customer. You have to go in and actually purchase the software, develop it, and install the product and do your maintenance that way. And you have to test your version upgrades, things like when new versions of our software come out or any other particular connecting software comes out. Those upgrades need to be tested. Additions to the system. If a customer has a new plant they want to add on, or just various changes to the site, those upgrades have to be met as well. You want to maintain your versions within the application. If a new plant comes out or a new site or is being made available, then you're working on, you want to be able to maintain a lot of that stuff as well. And then your training for your staff, your own internal SI staff, as well as the customer training has to be done as well. And from a customer site, you can either have their own applications where they can maintain their training in your applications, or maybe merge the two together and invite users either from the customer to your particular application, or vice versa. They have their own system that they've created with their applications and their virtual machines, and they can invite you to join their applications and develop everything there and do their training, or a combination thereof. So a lot of those things are requirements on every application. So what does a development studio bring to the table? So as I mentioned before, it's a collection of a couple different pieces now. We're starting to merge them together, but right now they sort of exist in two separate entities. One of them is Development Studio. And this is our development studio in the cloud, I should say, because we've had Development Studio around since the Wonderware days, but we're starting to have more of a cloud presence and more cloud capabilities within Development Studio. And that's a product I manage. And I work with all the other product managers, like for Edge, InTouch, System Platform, et cetera, to drive their capabilities up into the cloud. But we have the capabilities now. We're starting slow. We're starting off with enabling entitlement downloads and working on adding functionality to the cloud capabilities of Development Studio, meaning centralizing your development environment. So you're taking applications, whether it's an Edge or again, System Platform or InTouch, being able to take that, componentize it, and then you'd be able to export that to multiple sites and to multiple applications. So sort of as universal assets within your applications to be able to deploy them wherever, to go to Teamwork, to go to Insight. That it's some really fascinating stuff we're really excited about offering. We will be showing that later this year, but just sort of a teaser of what that's going to be. So very interesting and very exciting for presenting that to our SI community and even end user community. It's a very exciting tool. For now, it's based effectively a way for people to be able to get their entitlements. So one of the problems that we had was, well, so I've got operations control, or I've got whatever product. Where do I get it all? I can go to GCS, but there's other pieces of that puzzle that are available in different locations. We're trying to centralize that into one location that we're calling Development Studio. And I'll go show that in a little bit. Another piece of the puzzle is Integration Studio. This has been out for close to 8 years now, I believe. And effectively what that is it's a way for people to be able to create an account and to create virtual infrastructures in the cloud. This is infrastructure, meaning a virtual network, all installed with AVEVA software, You don't have to do any installations. You don't have to do any maintenance of the product. You don't have to do any licensing of it. It's all licensed, installed, and ready for you to start developing. And that's what that brings that whole answer to that problem of being able to go in and create products or create projects really rapidly, no installations, and to be able to not have to worry about the infrastructure, not have to worry about, oh, well, I'm running out of VMs, or I need somebody to shut down their VMs, and et cetera, because I need to be able to start these up. It's all managed by us. New products become available. Well, new suite has already been created for you. You can go in and really rapidly get that set up. So that's that part of it there. Again, it continues that value, not just from the beginning, but as you're servicing it, as you're going and maintaining your applications, it can be done really easily. So what Development Studio, what is it? As I mentioned, it's a group of products and a group of solutions grouped together to be called one Development Studio. Again, you're acquiring your licenses, your downloads, take all your SaaS applications, because where do I get teamwork? How do I get Integration Studio? How do I do all these things? Well, everything is all located in one spot. Your graphic content, your cloud capabilities. How do you take your applications and have your common industrial graphics and your common repository of all your graphics? That's all done in there. Build test, it's Integration Studio, and then manage your edge management of your devices. That's all done within one collection known as Development Studio. So the value for users. So what does this bring to the table? What is using Development Studio and integration and all these pieces together? Well, again, it lets you able to rapidly create your applications, test out new versions of your software, get things up and running. It's all pre-installed. You don't have to worry about doing the installations. That can sometimes take a while. Sometimes it can be quick, but you have to set up the infrastructure, not just the actual installation, but set up the infrastructure, set up the prerequisites and all the things like that. That takes that out of that equation. Again, I mentioned the unlimited demand, SkyTap or whatever versions of the software that people have. Obviously, this is something that is not new to the industry, but you have to maintain that infrastructure, and this basically can even be an add-on to it. So you may have your own infrastructure, but if you want to have an overflow, or maybe some of the requirements that you may have may not be fulfilled by your own infrastructure, but they can be met within Integration Studio. So they can be worked together. It's in the cloud, so you can have common, working together with other people. All this collaboration between you and your customer, or the end-to-end users, actual operators on the field can be invited, or even maintaining your own staff can be set that up as well. So your IT infrastructure. So again, you can set up that IT infrastructure outside of the application. So instead of having your policies and everything on locally, you having to invite users. That can be a huge undertaking to be able to invite guests to your accounts and guests to your own internal infrastructures. Oftentimes, it's not even allowed. This isolates that and creates a separate environment that completely is isolated from or can be completely isolated from your IT infrastructure. We do have the capability of having federated users, so you can all the users that would be set up in your Connect account can be federated to your local or your Azure AD, but it can also be maintained separately. So you can have that block there. You don't need to worry about your setup and all that stuff. We kind of talked about that earlier, but that again adds that value. Operators, etc. You can do your training. You can work with the operators directly if you need to have some feedback or your factory acceptance tests. All these things can be done through the cloud environment. So what's new, the 2023 release? So as I mentioned before, there's the 2022 part. We've got Integration Studio. We have the Dev Studio pieces that we just released that give access to all of the collaboration and all of the entitlements that you got for your particular account. Right now, it's focused on operations control. This is the first phase of our Development Studio entitlement section and our development tools. Eventually, we're working on bringing that to the masses, because it's designed to be that one place that you go to for everything. And depending on what you've are entitled to, that will be available to you, but you'll also be able to see things that maybe aren't available to you, but you may just be able to be aware of them, because a lot of times we have an unawareness of the values that we can bring to users, and to likely then someone doing the development for that. A user may not even be aware of the fact that teamwork is available to them and they can use it. But then once they're aware of it, then they might need some help setting that up. So this is when you would be, and as I would be able to take advantage of that and to add more value to the customer and to help them come along and modify and migrate their applications to make them available to them in teamwork. As an example, Insight, whatever. It really works. We work in conjunction with you guys to be able to get that set up. So we got the 2022 release here with Integration Studio. We've added some VM support for snapshots and things like that. We're going to start adding more value next month with being able to have multiple instances in different folders of applications and solutions within that. And then, so that's the 2023 stuff coming out, and we're working on getting that set up there. So let's do a demo, shall we? So I got to reshare my screen here. So I'm going to stop sharing the presentation, and I'm going to start to share my browser. So I've got a fancy ultra wide, so that's why I have to do this instead of just sharing my desktop. I would love to do that; it's a lot easier, but it's not everybody has an ultra wide, unfortunately. So I've got to set up this here. Let's see, get the right application. There we go. Okay. So this is just my Edge browser that I've got set up. So I've logged into AVEVA Connect. Now, when you do log into AVEVA Connect, well, let me just take a step back here. So AVEVA Connect is designed to be the cloud portal, effectively, for all of AVEVA software. So whether you're using to use Insight, Integration Studio, or even the 3D applications and all the AVEVA classic AVEVA Blue stuff that's available, that's all going to be done. And everything in the future for our cloud capabilities will all be centralized in AVEVA Connect. And then when you have an AVEVA Connect account, all of your user management is all maintained within that one account. And you can allocate or invite users, and then once you invited them, you can allocate them access and various forms of access to all the various solutions within your account. So for example, you may want to have, okay, well, I've got all these users set up. Some users may be an administrator, let's say a Development Studio or Integration Studio, but they may only be a user at Insight. So you can set those roles accordingly depending on the user, even within a particular folder. So we have this concept of folders within AVEVA Connect that lets you isolate and differentiate different solutions within your corporation. And that can vary. You can make it so that, let's say, a customer may want to have set up development. You have a development folder for all of your stuff, and then you may have a training section for all of your training applications and your training materials, what I'll go through there. Or you have different sites. So you'd have site 1, site 2, site 3, and each one would have their own applications. You can have Insight would be set up in one and just some focuses on that site, or you can have them span across multiples, but you can organize it however you see fit. So one of the features that we're going to be making available within Integration Studio is to be able to be to reside in each one of these folders. Right now, it's just focused on one. There's one development environment for your entire application or your entire account, but we're making that available within each particular folder, which is going to be pretty useful. So a lot of our distributors actually use Integration Studio for their training. So they may want to have a training session, training Integration Studio solution set up for just isolating access to outside parties. So they go and do all the training sessions there, but then they want to have another folder set up for all their internal applications and all their internal, let's say, sales solutions, or even some consulting services there. They have all the projects and everything focused within that particular folder. So we're giving people the ability to do stuff like that. Right now, you'd have to set up 2 separate accounts, so that's a lot more cumbersome, but people are doing that. But we're giving people the flexibility to make it available in a folder. So we have that capability. So I'm gonna go over Integration Studio really quickly. So here we are. And so just kind of a little bit of a recap of what is Integration Studio. So it's the cloud development environment that sets up virtual infrastructure. So basically setting up virtual machines, all pre-installed with our AVEVA software on there for you. So we have this concept of a project template. So I'm gonna go in and create a project template here. And a project template is effectively a set of instructions that I'm going to give the system to set up virtual machines. It's not actually going to create the virtual machines. It's a template to create the virtual machines. So I'll give it a name. And you can create these virtual machines over and over again. You can set up multiple instances of these virtual machines. So I'll give it a template name here. This will be called, let's say, well, this would be 2020 R2 3-node system. Okay, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to select, I can give it a description if I want to. The system suite name, I'll go in and do 2020. I'll give it a default region that these are going to be set up in. And then I'm going to say how many nodes do I want set up. Well, the first node, I'm going to call this one GR node. And I'm going to say, okay, well, which version is 2020? It's going to be R2 SP1. And this SP is actually system platform. And then this is the types of VMs I'm going to use. These very descriptive names here. We've got DS2, 3, 4, or whatever. These are actually the codes for the VMs. Once you select one, you'll be able to see the actual machine configuration. It's an 8-core VM and with 28 gig of RAM. You can also change that. You can see what the changes are there. And then each VM has a certain cost per hour. So I didn't even cover that, but what is the cost of using Integration Studio? Well, you get access to Integration Studio through your consignment license. So however many consignment license you've got set up in your account, which reflects with how many developers would be using the software, you would get that number of seats. So like a development license, you can have somebody install on machine, somebody can get out of the seat and hop in the seat and they can start developing that as well. Well, you can assign different seats to various users within your account. And then once they do, they can start using the VMs and they can start creating them. But we start charging for when their VMs are running. So effectively, you're only being charged for the usage of the VMs, the compute time of the virtual machines. And so if they're not running, you're good to go. When they're running, that's when the meter starts to run there. And that meter runs at this rate you got here. And so what rate is that? Well, those are effectively flex credits. So if heard John talk earlier, or you might know about the flex credit system that we've got. So you effectively purchase your flex credits and then you can assign them to integration or to connect effectively. And then once that's done, then those credits will be burned down. So you load up credits in your account by creating a flex account, and then you assign them to connect, and then they're being charged that way. So there we go. So I might want to add another node because I said it was a 3-node system. So I'll call this one runtime 1, and we'll do that one, and then this will be runtime 2. That one there. So these are my 3-node systems there, and these are a little bit slower than my GR one, just because that's what I feel like doing. And then you'll say, okay, well, what's the role of each one of these nodes? Well, on this GR1, I'm going to make this just be everything. It's just going to have everything installed on there, and you're good to go. The next one will just be runtime client. We'll do 2 runtime clients there, and we'll go to next. And as I mentioned earlier, we're charging you for the compute time that the VMs are running. So in certain instances, I and everybody that I've worked with will start up a VM and then forget to shut them down. And so to avoid any unexpected charges, we built in an automatic shutdown machine or system. So you can set up a duration-based shutdown. You can have it run for either 0 to or disabled or 24 hours. You can also have shut down by a specific time of day, and you can set that time there. Let's say you want it to shut down really, you're going to work really late and you're going to work till 5:30. Well, there you go, PM. Set that right. And every day at 5:30, it'll shut down. Now, if you're using the VM and 5:30 comes along, it'll come up with a prompt and says, okay, your machine is scheduled to shut down today in 15 minutes. Do you want to bypass or let it shut down? So like any other sort of warning, you can let it effectively snooze for the day. Then the next day will come around and it'll shut it down then. Next page here is more of a summary, and one little option here is to set the visibility of it. You can either set it to private or public. This relates to your own particular account here within your own folder. So if it's public, it's available to everybody, to everybody, meaning administrators and users. There's 2 security levels. So all administrators and users within your account here can see it and can create virtual machines based off of it. Or you could set it to private, and only you or administrators can see it. And then the rest of it is effectively a review of what you've got. So if all the machines are running, it'll cost 0.273 credits per hour. They're set to shut down at that time every day. And there you go. Those are all the machines checked. And then you create project template. I'm not going to click that now because I don't want to fill it up with demo templates, but we can go over one that we've got set up here. So this is another one that I got. And so this is the template that I created. And then to actually create the VMs, you would say, go to new instance. And once you click that, you can go, okay, well, what is the instance name going to be called? So the template that I've created was that let's say a 3-node. I think this one is it a 3-node? I think it's a single node system here. But I would give it a name. So this would be like, well, this is going to be for skid 1 or plant 1 or test 1 or whatever, the actual instance that the VMs are going to be known for. And you get that a name there, and you can see what was selected for it. You can override those and disable or enable particular ones there. You can change whether or not the instance itself will be public or private. And then you can also change the region that will be set up. And then you also have an email notification sent to you when it's ready. Because what this will do is when you click launch instance, it will actually create a virtual machine and install the software depending on your settings that you selected. So it can take a little bit of time, maybe 20-30 minutes. So if you don't want to sit there and just watch it tick, or if you like watching paint dry, I guess that would be something you don't want to do. But if you don't want to do that, you can just leave and then get an email notification and come back when it's done, and it'll be running. So once you do that, it'll start that process, and then you'll create the virtual machines. And then once you do that, you'll be able to connect to them. Connecting to them is like you would connect to any other virtual machine. You've got 2 different options. One of them is to connect via RDP, and we've added some security features within the system to be able to limit usage and limit connectivity of the device. And once it's in the internet, you want to make it available to everybody and every IP address. So we created these rules. You can either have global RDP rules. So once you set these up, you can say, okay, the only people from this IP address, my host IP address, can connect to the virtual machines, any virtual machine within my account. Or you can set up specific project RDP rules. So you can say just these sets of machines, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 virtual machines, you can set up the RDP rules just for this particular instance there. And so that would therefore make your system more secure, because not everybody can access it. Another thing you could do is you can just connect through the browser, and that requires very little work. You just click on a VM, and then once it's started, and then you connect to that browser, and it opens up a separate tab, and you're now connected to that browser session there. It's virtually the same. There are a few little differences. It's a little bit slower than if you have RDP, but that's all I ever use, because it's just so much easier. You don't have to log in. You don't have to worry about any sort of rules or port blocking on the local machine. At my home, it's a little bit easier. But if you're at the office, let's say, you may have your office protocol set up so that there's a lot of port blocking and port forwarding and things of that nature. You don't have to worry about that. Another thing you do if you're at your site and everything's working fine, if you need to go to a customer site and use their infrastructure, their guest network or whatever, you may be at the mercy of their connectivity and their rules. So the browser interface is really reliable for that. So once you do that, then you can connect to the virtual machine and use it as you see fit. I won't get into that because that's effectively just using the software, which I'm sure everybody knows how to do at this point. And it doesn't really fit into the purpose of this demo. But another thing you can do too is that we've enabled the ability to have a cloning feature. So let's say I get these virtual machines, and this one right here, this is water with teamwork. So this was a demo that I created it was a while back using this water demo that I think John Krajewski created. And so I wanted to work on that capability of using the new teamwork widget that we released about 9 months ago. And so I did a demo of that. And so then I got it all set up and I got it all working. And then what I wanted to do is make that available to other people. So instead of, if I wanted to demo that with somebody else, or somebody else wanted to demo it, but I don't want to give them access to this one because let's say I'm using this one, you can create an instance or replicate that particular set of VMs that I've got set up there. And then you see there's this clone status. So to do that, let's say I go in and I say clone or capture instance. So I click here, and what this will do is it'll bring up this little dialog box. And what it's effectively doing is it's creating a system suite. Take a step back. So when you create a project template, you got the system suite definition. So the system suites are basically, I liken it to like the box of chocolates, as John calls it, where you've got when the new version of software comes out, you get this box set of disks that has all the installation media for that particular version of the software. Everything that's in that box works together, and it's tested together, and it's all set up. So a system suite is like that. So you select that version, and then when you do that, you can pick the specific version that you want to get all of that set up. And so then with all that, you could set up all the different versions of the software. What this lets you do is this lets you create your own custom system suite. So what it'll do is it'll go and say, instead of setting that version of the software that AVEVA sets up, I want to just replicate my setup, my instance of the virtual machines that I've created. And you can make that available to everybody. You can say, okay, this is the training session for this particular plant. Then anybody can go in and create an instance of that those virtual machines, or you can make it available just to you. So you can say, create a new public system suite. And what that will be is, let's say this would be the clone with teamwork and everything, whatever, and it makes it available to everybody. So they can go in and create a new one, or you just make it available to yourself. So you click that, you click capture, and what that will do is that'll start a process, and I'll show the history of that, how that was set up. In this one here, that it stopped everything that was running, cloned them, made them available system suite, and then it actually automatically creates a project template with that as the system suite, and then gets you ready to go. And you can see I did that here, and this is the actual clone that was created of these. So now we've created a couple different clones. Let's say I did that, and then I wanted to add AVEVA reports to it. So I take my demo that I already had the demo running with the teamwork widget set up, and I wanted to add AVEVA reports to it under a separate section, because if I want to demo reports, I would start this one up. Or if somebody else wanted to set up just teamwork, I would set that up as well. Whatever applications you want to do, that's what you can do that there. We see this distributors using this a lot for training. So they'll go in and create, and even our own internal people, when we want to do it, like say a beta or a new version comes out, or just do training for particular operators. You go in and create your demo environment. You put the application on there, put some documentation on there if you want to, and then you create the clone of that. And so you create clones and instances of those clones for all the different operators, and then you just assign the owner of those that. Let's see here, I think it's under edit. So you go to this particular instance and say, okay, well, this owner is actually going to be whichever person. Let's say, well, this one's now going to belong to Chetan, and click that. Okay, so now he owns it. And then if he's a user, when he logs in, he can, all he sees is just this particular one that he's the owner of, and he'll be able to start it up. So there's that. Very cool feature that we made available. This was earlier this year, part of the 2023, I guess, genre of the products. That's that there. Another thing that want to make available is actually the help file. I know that sounds really cheesy, but a lot of the things are available within this help section. One of them being things like, we get a lot of questions where, what's the OS that's being used, or what version of SQL is on the machine, or whatever. That's all available in this section here. The FAQs are actually lists, I know, shocking, of actual questions that we get frequently asked from our users, and one of those is this. So this is all the different versions of the system suites, which versions of all the different OSs, SQL Server, etc. are installed in there, and then what actual software is installed when you click the roles, what gets installed in all of them there. So for all the different versions, it's available for you there. Lots of things. How do you start an instance? How do you go through and clone it? How do you manage your RDP rules? All that stuff is done through here. When you download an RDP file, how do you do that? How do you manage all that? Another thing is seats, how you manage your seats, how you assign them to particular users, things like that are all done here. Okay. So there's that. So next thing we'll talk about is Development Studio. So within your Connect account, so we mentioned it's a collection of different products. There's the Integration Studio piece. We also have the Development Studio piece, and this is added here. So I'll show you what that looks like here. So right now, I mentioned it's a little bit, it's in its infant stage, primordial infant stage here. Right now we have the entitlement section. So you click on your application and you go through and you see all the different pieces of software that I'm entitled to. I have everything available to me. So depending on your applications, these are all the AVEVA operations control packages or levels of software. So I have all three of them, plus the MES add-ons. So say if a customer just had Edge, you would just see the Edge products here. Or if a customer has supervisory, these are the supervisory products, and you can just filter them based off that. And once you do that, let's say you want to go to InTouch. Oh, what's this InTouch HMI thing? So you go click Learn More. You can look at a video. If you want to see John talk, you can do that. If you want to learn even more, you can go to the website. And click that there, and it'll go to the AVEVA website and gives you more information, download brochures, etc. For you there. You can also look at the version notes, everything that's associated with the particular selection of system platform. As you know, in AVEVA InTouch HMI, it's all part of the same download. So this is just a system platform download available to you there. And this is very similar to the GCS download, but we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We know there's GCS there. We're not getting rid of the GCS download section. This provides everybody with a centralized place that stuff that's not available in GCS. If you want to do any of the extensions, etc., all the other pieces of the puzzle that you would help with that actually are none for this at this moment. Let's see. Let's go back to entitlements. Maybe we go to system platform. Let's see extensions here. There we are. So these are all the different extensions for the OMI apps. So you got a system platform. You can download the product itself right here, as you can, elsewhere. But now you have your central repository for all of your extensions. So you want to take a look at this. I'm doing this on the fly. Let's pick the first one here. So this 3D Viewer app. You want to take a look at it and look at the version notes of it, and download the 3D app there. So all the applications and all the OMI apps are available. PLC Viewer app. This is another popular one. They can take a look at that there. So instead of looking for it and searching for the view apps and maybe forgetting what they're called or whatever, this is one central location for all the different pieces to do that. And we're just going to try to enhance this. There's just going to be more entitlements. One of the integrations that we're working on is being able to, through here, let's say Edge. Okay, so I'm going to look at Edge. What is this? So you click here. We're working on the ability to make it so that you can just try it now. And what that would do then is go into your integration studio, create a new project, and then launch a session with AVEVA Edge pre-installed on it for you. So you don't need to go through and actually create it. But it gives you the quick ability to do that. Another one is Plant SCADA. Plant SCADA is not necessarily a common product that people may be aware of that are in the typical AVEVA world or Wonderware sort of integrators. So you want to take a look and see what that looks like. So you'll be able to go in, learn about it, and then maybe try that out really quickly within Integration Studio as well. So there's that. So another thing that we're going to be working on within this is the ability to manage your cloud storage. Right now, it's effectively just a view of your cloud storage. Again, we're working on trying to enhance that, being able to get more granular and detailed view of what's located in your cloud storage graphically. Right now, the ability is effectively just on-premise products, whether it's InTouch or not even on-premise, but the client-side products, Insight, InTouch, System Platform, whatever you can. That's the only place where you can view what are in your cloud storage. We're working on giving that people the ability within this environment as well, and then beyond that, having some sort of editing capabilities, and it's growing from there. Another thing that we're working on is the ability to, I mentioned earlier, set up your common assets for your applications, import in a system platform application, and then exporting that, let's say, to Teamwork or Insight, et cetera, to get that up and running really quickly. So there's that. So there's what we have, where we're going in the future. Just trying to add more value to users, to SIs, and giving people the ability to develop and use our software as effectively as possible.